and welcome to Dream It, Dare It, Do It, Live the Life You Want. My name is Jasmine, and I'm your host for this podcast. And I know that you already know that, but I like starting this way. And so that's what I do. Um, Today, I am in a reflective mode. And I thought it was a great time to have a podcast interview with Trine. Hi, Trine.
Hi.
Do I pronounce it right?
It has been pronounced in many ways. Trina
Trina. Okay,
is,
it's like Tina, but with an R. Trina.
yes, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going because with Sana, so everybody you've heard of Sana, she's been on the show before, and I would call her Sane or something like that. And she was like, doesn't matter. I was like, I want to know how to say it. So, and then I said it in French, and she was like, that's how you say it. Because my first language is French, right?
Oh, yeah, of
So
course.
it was very funny that I want to make sure that I'm saying it right. Like sometimes people call me Yasmin, and I'm like, no, my name is Jasmine, you know? So I think it's important. That being said, Trina,
Mhm.
let's talk. Let's first introduce you to my listeners and let them know where you are, because I talk to people all over the world.
Yeah.
Now, where are you at?
I am in a small town in southern Denmark
Uh-huh.
where I live
And
with my husband and two children, or my children are grown, but they're still living at home. But
yes.
yeah.
And you help people with, tell me, I'm going to let you tell me.
Well, I work from the three principles,
Yeah.
and a lot of the people that come to me that show up from me is people, family members to people in the psychiatric system. Uh,
Mm,
and I've done groups, both online and physical, and also one-on-one conversations. And just because, I know I'm also a family member to someone who has um, once in a while not been doing very well, and so I know what it's like, and I know what's helped me, and so I figured that's a good place to start. And
yeah.
it just seems to be what shows up,
Yeah.
or who shows up.
Do you do you consider this understanding of the three principles like a fantastic mental health tool or mental health understanding?
Yes, I would say understanding, not
Yeah.
tool. For me, it's just a way. Understanding how the mind works is just helpful in terms of navigating um, life, and navigating our inner life, not just, the outer life, but navigating our inner life, which sometimes can be a little rocky.
Yeah. So you work with the people who are having a lot of mental health issues because it's hard for the people having it. Like I know I've had mental health issues, and it's
Mhm.
hard for me who's having it, but I also have had people in my life that have had mental health issues, and it's hard for me as a person. Like that's so you're helping the people that are going through a member.
I'm helping the family members to someone who's going through a mental health issue, just in terms of, how do you support that person the best? And I always point people back to themselves, because the person that their loved one is not here, but they are. So for them to um, find ways, or get to know themselves in a way that gives them less on their mind, and that way they just show up to the
Yeah.
person, to the people they love, with less on their mind, like less worry, and through that, it's just a lot easier to navigate. And what I've found is that the loved one also calms down because mom or dad or the spouse or whatever is less worried.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of a ripple effect. And really, my heart is beating for the loved one,
Yeah.
and um, this is a way to help them by helping the people closest to them.
I
Um,
love that.
so really, I mean, my heart is beating for everyone, really.
Yes, yes. But there's a calling, just like for me, my calling is, I want people to, dare, just do what you want to do, like be you and, kick the shit out of it, like do
Yeah,
it to its fullest extent.
yeah, yeah.
Um, you know, something that's in my space right now that I kind of like teased about in the beginning, and I wanted to explore that with you and see what your thoughts were on that. So I'm seeing lately I've been exploring. I've always explored me. I want to know, how is Jasmine working? Why is it that sometimes I'm doing that and sometimes I'm not doing that? Like I kind of always have had this exploration going on with myself. And right now it feels like I'm at a core a core representation of Jasmine. It's kind of like I said Jasmine was that, like kind of like created my identity, you know, Jasmine is this, and I'm kind of like like challenging it right now, kind of going, really? Are you? Is that you? Do you have to be you? And that brought me into, the exploration of I I am,
Mm,
So it's kind of like it feels like whatever we say after the I am is restrictive. It's it feels like it it feels like a prison almost, It's like it's a mental prison, but it's still like we're kind of like, as a kid, I am shy. And then you live your life. Okay, I'm shy. So that's how you go. And I'm going to tell you the reason why I'm also very much in this is because yesterday I watched the show, the documentary with Celine Dion. Now, Celine Dion is from Quebec. And so everybody's like, Celine, or everybody loves Celine, but in Quebec, we're like very passionate. And I listened to it and I cried, and I might cry now because it was really hard. Like she has, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but she has the stiff person syndrome, which is basically her muscles are stiffening if she has too much um excitement. Like if she excited her brain too much, like
mm,
her system goes on overload and she just tightens, right? But what's sad is not the illness for me. It is the illness, of course, but for me, the illness is to see how she is a singer
mm,
and she can't sing. Like she hasn't sung in the documentary, she said 2 years, but I really don't know. It's not like I'm not a big follower of her, but what I was really present to was how sad she was that she couldn't be a singer anymore. And not saying this is good or bad. I'm not, I understand everything. So please, people, don't send me hate mail. um, I just wish that she could see she's more than a singer,
mm,
you know? I mean, of course, she's got like the extreme, she's on the extreme side of it. But we do that all the time on a smaller scale.
yeah.
we create an identity that we live with for the rest of our lives.
Yeah. My favorite topic.
Yeah, really.
My favorite topic in the sense of the I am, period.
Yeah,
Um, because like you said, everything after is something the mind creates, what our intellect creates, depending on how much we do it or how much we love doing it or how much we hate doing something, whereas the more we return back to ourselves, to the I, and that's it, like period. It just, I mean, just talking about that and just pointing to the I, it's just like I take a deep breath, and a long exhale because it just, my shoulders come down because, oh, there's peace in that because I don't put pressure on myself to live up to being something specific.
and it's done innocently. I mean,
Hmm. Yeah.
you don't even notice. I I'm like I said, I'm looking at it for myself, and I'm 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 always amazed at how much noise there is inside my head. Forget outside in the world, but just inside my head, the amount of noise that's there that, sometimes I forget it's just noise and it's not the truth.
Yeah, it's so easy to, I mean, me too. It's so easy to get caught up in the noise, especially, for me, it's like in terms of my family. There's something, because we're so close, it's so if there's something with my family, then I more easily I'm less objective,
Yeah.
than if
Yeah.
it's,
It's like the label, right? It's like I am, there's a label, but the same thing, we put labels on people. Like I remember seeing, for myself, it was lately, that's just one of them. I've seen many of them, but lately one that I've seen is with my father, you know, like he has the label father. Now we could start debating whether it's the truth or not, but it's a label still. And that label has a bunch of things that he must do. He's got the label father, therefore he needs to talk to me this way. He can't talk to me this way. He has to do this, he has to do that. He can't do this, he can't do that. Like there's a bunch of things that, you know, are attached to just the label of dad. When I saw that I had that for him, I at the same time saw how he had that for me because I had the label daughter.
Mhm.
And then in his world, daughter should do this, a daughter should do that, a daughter should do this. And for me, when the older I get, and I don't think it's the older, actually, I think it's more the more I see in this understanding,
Mm.
the more I kind of like when I see a label, I kind of like go, wait, what is it that I really want to do?
Yeah.
Right? Do I want to helping with this because I'm a daughter and a daughter should do that? Or is it just because I want to do that? That's it.
Yeah. So really looking beyond the labels. Yeah. I keep thinking, I mean, I have a lot of, like everyone else, label myself. And one of the things is that I don't have an immune system. I have what's called CVID, which is basically that my immune system is not functioning. And in the beginning, right now my immune system is fine. It's still not working, but I get medicine so it's fine. But I could label myself as someone because I have this. I am someone who can't do this. I know I can't work in like daycares. I can't, there are things that are not smart for me to do. But I could also use it to limit what I do. So I love, coaching sessions and with the whole online thing. I mean, it's great for me, and I know that I'm not, someone who cannot work in a daycare, but I could, but I'm noticing, well, that's not very smart just because I can notice my health. I pick up everything.
Yeah.
But then I can do something else. So at one point I created this is like way in like years ago, I created like mindfulness for children, which was really kind of 3P in disguise, just because at that point in Denmark there was no 3P,
Yeah.
and it wasn't known, so I just used the word mindfulness. But what I was teaching these children was how the mind works. And so I'm just saying it because it shows that we can put labels on ourselves of what we can't do and use that against us. But when we sort of just let that go, then new possibilities show up. Like new ideas, fresh ideas are able to show up. And we're like, oh, but I can do it this way.
Yeah.
It's
It's it's very creative.
mhm.
I think that we're all creative. I was listening to another show earlier, and I love listening to true crime. I'm into true crime, guys. But what was very interesting in this particular episode, they were talking about um, um, genealogy, how now they can, with DNA, they can find the people that have, done something like 50, 60 years ago. Like they can literally find it that way. And one of the things that the girl said was, because this crime happened in 1968. She says in 1968, genealogy wasn't even a thought.
Mm.
And that like impact that had, like, I went like, yeah, exactly, right? So I think that when I was saying a little earlier that a label creates a prison, it's because it's restrictive, it's not creative. It's kind of like you put a finality to something, and I think nothing is final except maybe death. And even in that, I don't even know if that's because I haven't gone there. So anything that we think is final is never final. You can always create.
Yeah, yeah. And I talk with clients about this, that the our intellect or the ego, like what it shows us is like the end result. And then it starts to figure out ways either how to avoid or get to the end result. So if I am someone who, uh, I don't even know, like some sort of label, that's my end result in a way, and so I do everything within this space. I'm pointing between my hand, and
Yeah,
myself, and the intellect like moves around in that little, the whole confined space to reach or avoid this. And what you're saying, I love that. And yes, when
well,
we look beyond the intellect and the ego, then it's only creative. There's only new possibilities.
it, something that I've seen a long time ago, like I call it a gap, so you're here, you want to go there, and so you gotta, they call it fill in the gap, but what I've seen is that our life is the gap.
Hmm.
We're always at any given moment between where you are now and where you're going to be. So your life is actually the gap. That's where we live. So what are you going to do with this gap? Because once you're over there, you're going to be over here already. And you're going to come back and to live in the gap because you're going to get another one. So you're living in the gap.
Mm.
All of us, that's where we live. And
Mm.
that's where we can create. We can create anything we want. The thought is, I'd like to sing on stage. Now you can have the thought, I can't do that. Or you can go, how can I do it? Where do I go? Like you can start creating and looking for what you want.
Yeah.
That is magical if you think about it.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And then we have these difficult times, like, people that are dealing with family members that are, you can still create, right? You're not going to consider it magical, but it can be transformational. It can be exactly the same, yet totally different.
Yeah.
My dog is saying hello, guys. Hey, come here, come. Here you go. Yeah, grab it. Come on. Here you go.
That's a cute dog.
Yeah, she's a cutie patootie. She doesn't like it when people walk in her yard.
Oh,
No barking. Look at Tina. Look, there you go. There you go. Lean on me.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's creative and transformational. That
Yeah.
that space.
Yeah. Yeah, and anything can come to us but we have to relax. Like our mind has to sort of
Yeah.
relax in order, at least that's my experience, is that the more relaxed I am, the more in the flow I am. So it's just like the creative flow, it's where you're just sort of like being moved in a direction without me moving it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not always easy though, right? It's not like, I think there's something that that you have to see. Like you said, you have to chill. So right now I'm like taking care of government stuff. And I'm a pretty chill person. Like I'm pretty easygoing, but whenever I touch that, I'm telling you, I'm like, I go crazy. I'm like, yesterday I was really present. I was putting numbers, I was putting the wrong number. Like I was seeing 103 and I would type 108 and I'd be like, what's going on? Like I get really like nutty. It's really nutty. But then I kind of go, okay, well, that's because you're like thinking crazy right now. It's okay. Relax. Because in the past, I would just rev it up, right?
And that's the great thing about for me, about, the principles, is that it points to ways for me to notice that when I'm caught up,
Yeah.
noticing either physically or my mind, I can get a neck, headache, or my neck will start hurting, then I know that I'm doing something with my mind that's not very helpful. It's certainly not creative, it's more constrictive, I think it's the
Yeah.
word. And that's what the principles are, for me, are really helpful, is that like it helps me to know, where am I? Like, what am I doing? I know I'm right here, but what am I doing with my mind? Is my focus on my mind, or am I more just focused on being in the world? Um, yeah.
Have you ever had the experience that everybody seems to know about this? Like the experience that you figure something out and you're like, wow. And then all of a sudden you start looking and they're like, oh, well, they know about it. Well, she knows too. And she knows too. And she knows too. And I'm like, where the hell was I? Like it's like I feel like everybody knows about the three principles. They just don't know this, don't know it under this understanding, this word, these words.
Yeah, and I've also noticed that a lot of, all of us, we have these things that we say, it's like, oh, I'm going to sleep on it, but we
Yeah.
don't even stop and consider, how do I know that? Why, what is it that's helpful about sleeping on it?
Yeah.
So that's actually something we just, tell people, oh, sleep on it.
Yeah.
How do you know? But when we start getting curious about that, we already know this stuff, but we just don't stop and reflect on what is it that we know? Like
Yeah, we
why does it
think
help
we
us?
know it's because we're going to bed, but it's the nature of the mind that when you go to bed, you're not swirling all your stuff in your mind. I don't know why I'm explaining it. Everybody knows. But we kind of think it's kind of the label again, right? It's kind of like we put the label on go sleep, you'll be fine. And then, but you could also, I've seen sleep will not make this work. I've woken up in the mornings, saying, no, I'm still angry. uh, but there are times that, there's also time heals all wounds,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And I've seen it. I've seen it because, I have a couple of friends that, I've stopped talking 2 years ago. And to this day, I don't remember why. No
Yeah.
idea. None. And it's kind of like now I'm feeling weird. Should I call them? Should we start hanging out again? Should I, like there's this whole thing going on in my mind about that part.
Yeah. Something that I'm really lately is, I did a course with, I don't know if you know Barb Patterson,
Yes.
but I did it, or she just did like this 10-week mastermind group, which I was on. And she talks a lot about nudges, we could also call it inner wisdom, or,
Yeah.
the curiosity that sort of draws us in a direction, So I've just been really noticing the nudges
Yeah.
lately. Um, I've always had sort of an awareness of it, but now I'm actually, sort of committing myself to not only noticing the nudges, but also acting on them.
Mm.
Because we can get these nudges, but then they can create more thinking because we start questioning, well, I haven't talked to them in a while, or is it weird if I do it now? Or, so it sort of covers up the original nudge, so I'm just really curious about that lately, those acting on the nudges instead of like, oh, I'll deal with that later, but
Yeah.
really just, huh,
Yeah. What does it feel like right now? Well, why did that show up? I don't know. Let's go see. Just go
yeah,
see.
yeah,
It could surprise you.
yeah, exactly. It's really, and it takes me out of, because I can be very, I don't want to use the word careful, but I'm getting out of my comfort zone by acting on the nudges, by following the nudge in a way that I'm actually taking action, and sometimes it's a little bit out of my comfort zone, but yeah, there's like an inner courage that's also alive,
Yeah, I
um,
call it daring. You're
daring.
basically daring. What do you think about, oh my God, it just slipped out. It just slipped out. There's this thing I was gonna say. It's gone. It's gone. It doesn't matter. Um, yeah, it's not there. I thought if I silenced myself for a little bit, it would work, but no, that didn't work.
I'll
Yeah,
show you in a minute.
yeah, exactly. It's a very it's back. what do you think of trust? Like, where do you see trust and all of that? Like, because like when you were talking, you were like going to the nudge, where I think that probably, with your CI, I forget the name, your immune system, you
Mhm.
probably have you had that all your life?
Um, no, I've had parts of it that wasn't working, but I didn't know it until I think I was like 31,
Yeah.
or like
But I
2000.
think that it probably created, I must be careful. I mean, there's kind of like an underlying, okay, I got to be careful. I got to think differently,
Mm,
you know, in this respect. And you could call it comfort zone, or you could call it, being intelligent and not wanting to die because you want to live, right? So
mm,
it's kind of like, if my immune system is this way, I better think about it. But there's this part where we can trust ourselves in anything,
yeah,
even if we don't know. And I mean, if you think about it, we do it all the time. We get in our car and we drive. We have no idea where we're going, but we trust ourselves to know that at one point, I'm either going to get a stop sign, a red light, I'm going to have to go right or left, and I'll figure it out when I get there. you
yeah,
know
yeah,
And that's kind of like trusting yourself that you can do anything and you can dare to go to the nudges.
yeah, yeah. So trust, I mean, I kind of see like on two levels. I see it as, the in the world of form,
Yeah.
like our day-to-day trust in other people, and then I see and I don't know if the word is trust, but um, I have the Danish word, but I don't have the English word. But let's just use the word trust. The trust in the bigger and in life itself, that I am held.
Yeah.
And that's also my experience. My personal experience is that I am, that something is holding me. It's sort of, words are just so vague sometimes, it doesn't quite, but it's my best. There's something that catches. Um, but in terms of with the immune system, in the beginning, I was very careful. Like what happens for me is that, I can go, 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 but then it's like the
You
rest of
crash.
me catches up to it. So what I'm really learning is feeling the flow of um, too much, or what's enough. Still learning, but many
Yeah.
years later, but because I get so excited, there's so many things I would like to do, and but I've found out, if I do the things I would like to do, and then I know that I need a couple of days rest after.
Yeah.
So it's sort of, I factor things in.
Yeah. It's knowing you right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very now thing,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that, I don't have what you have, but I kind of going through the same thing. For me, it's my weight.
Mm,
Like, there's like, okay, are you eating when you're hungry, or are you eating why are you eating? Is it, why are you continuing eating when you're not eating? So it's kind of like, what I've seen is, I'm, and I'm still not, but it's like being
yeah.
present in the moment. And I've learned, I've seen that I'm feeding my intellect way more than I'm feeding my body. My body says I'm hungry, my intellect says, yeah, give it chips, it'll be fine. My body's going, what the heck do you want me to do with chips? But I'm not hearing that, because I'm listening to what my mind is telling me, or my intellect is telling me. And I've always made bad choices. It's always been that way. And I look at my family and we're all the same also. Like, eat vegetable. Oh, vegetables. That's the intellect saying that, because that's not true. I mean, onions, oh my God, they're so good. Salad, come on, you can do stuff. Like, like, but one, you have to get present to it. And sometimes I'm too busy, I'm going to say most of the time, like, you know, because I didn't get this weight by, being present to what I was eating, you know, but that's what I'm doing. I'm learning to go, okay, do I like this? Do I actually like this?
Yeah.
Am I actually hungry? Is this feeding me? All of these things that I have no idea how to navigate. We were talking about navigating. That's
Yeah.
my work right now.
Yeah. And I think for me, also to be gentle on ourselves.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
It's
Yeah.
and I don't mean, let's go have a spa day or let's have a massage or whatever. I just mean stop hitting yourself on your head because you didn't,
See
you
it.
know, you didn't see it right there.
Yeah.
It's yeah. So we can
Yeah.
always be gentle on ourselves, and the gentleness comes also with just an acceptance of like, did it again. I have what I call a Trina day, which is a day where I accidentally have like booked the whole day. I'm just like,
Yeah.
yeah. Speaking of labels and Senna is like, Trina, don't call it a Trina day because then it becomes a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that I think that's great. Let's not put labels on stuff. But I mean, we could if we wanted to, but let's be aware. I think the main thing is like staying aware of, not going to let's sleep on it, like not using it like that. Let me sleep on it and not understand the reason why you're doing why are you sleeping on it? Like,
Yeah.
just need to calm your mind down. All is well. You're always okay. No matter what, no matter what's going on. You know, I've had that experience with the death of my mother. My mother was on her deathbed. I was there and I couldn't believe, like my intellect couldn't fathom, how are you okay with this?
Hmm.
Right? How are you at peace with this? And my brother has told me many times, says, I don't know how you're doing it. I don't, like, he can't process that information too, right? That's because we're looking to the mind for it. The mind won't understand a lot of the stuff that I'm doing,
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff that we're all doing. I think we
Yeah.
can we can come back to our knowing. I call it your heart, your soul,
Mhm.
you know
Yeah.
your
Heart
being.
happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and we call our mind. There's so many, a lot of people, and I've done this myself. It's like I have to find, it's up to me to calm my mind. And what I've just noticed more and more and more is that, it happens on its own throughout the day. It can be when I'm sort of enjoying doing something, right there, I give my mind space, and it can be like if I catch myself staring into space, it's not a bad thing. It's just me, giving my mind a break. So there's just like, or when we smile and laugh, those are moments of our mind taking a break, or we're the opportunity for being gentle on ourselves, because right there we're not hitting ourselves on the head, we're just enjoying to be with what we're doing, or yeah.
Yeah. There's nowhere to go but here.
Yeah, exactly.
Tina, thank you so much for accepting my invitation and coming to chat. We've already busted our time, believe it or
Oh,
not.
have we? It
Yeah,
flew.
I know. I know it usually does. We could go on and on. I know this. I have to pace myself and go, okay, that's why I have a timer on the corner. I'm like, oh, we're busting. But thank you very much for, accepting my invite. It was beautiful. Our chat was
Thank you for having me. I'm very honored to be
Thank
asked.
you.
Yeah.
So, if people like want to have a chat with you, how do they reach out to you? I'm going to put it in the description, but those are listening.
I guess they can just send me an email at Trine with an E, Trine, at lumeninspire.com.
Lumeninspire.com. Fantastic. Well, thank you very, very much. And
Thank,
I wish you good luck in everything.
thank
And everybody else who's listening, I'm gonna, just say what I say and dream it, dare it, do it, live the life you want, and we'll see you in the next episode. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.